Okay, I think I'll watch this one.
While cops are here to help and protect citizens, what happens when they're actually secret killers in disguise? Here are 3 examples of when cops try to get away with murder, starting with the horrifying case of William Talley. On the 11th of May 2019, police received a worrying phone call explaining that former police sergeant William Talley had been in an argument with his girlfriend, Kelly Levenson. At some point during the fight, he fired gunshots at her. William quickly left the scene, stealing Kelly's truck, but was worried he may have done more damage than he realized.
So many of these situations, it's just hard to understand, and being in like a normal mindset when you're watching, it's wild to think about things escalating that far.
So I don't know anything since then.
So nobody's here has been injured?
No, that's what I told him when I called. He told me that he was in helper.
There was one thing on the officers' minds, and they were all silently pleading that they wouldn't find her dead.
Deputy Brown, who used to work with the
As they entered the kitchen, though, they would find Kelly's dead body lying on the ground. With all the evidence the police had, it wasn't difficult for them to determine their main suspect.
Pretty cut and dry
But
there, huh?
catching him was another matter. They knew that William had received both police and SWAT training, so he'd be difficult to catch. However, all of a sudden, police received a phone call informing them William had gotten into a car crash. The cops rushed to the hospital where they found their number 1 suspect waiting for them, bruised and bloodied.
We're gonna take care of you now.
Thank God, honestly. Ugh, so tragic. And probably like just like the stupidest fight. You know what I mean? It's like there is nothing logical that would ever make that like an acceptable response, you know?
Once William was discharged from the
Look at
hospital,
him.
he was immediately brought to an interrogation room where the investigation would truly begin.
Can I ask what my charges are?
Yeah, right now you're charged with murder. You're charged with violation of oath of office, and you're charged with possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. That's what we're hoping you can tell us.
It wasn't Becky, was it? Was it Kelly?
Well,
Was it a cop?
William mentions 2 names here, Becky and Kelly. Of course, we know Kelly to be his girlfriend, but William was actually married to another woman named Rebecca Talley who he'd been cheating on.
So not only murderous, but like, what a crazy situation. That is an insane situation.
William obviously
And pretending
appears
like he didn't
dazed and
know.
confused, but whether this is just an act or not is another question.
Has to be an
He'd
act.
spent multiple days in the hospital and was discharged after being medically cleared, so it's unlikely he'd still be this
I feel like he just had no plan. There was just no plan. I mean, not that I want him to have a plan, but wow.
out of it. Regardless, it at least seems to be keeping him calm.
I can tell you who, if we can get started there. And it is Kelly.
No!
Don't do that. Tally, come on. Tally. Deal.
So it's like, obviously that's an insane reaction. So do you think that there's a chance that he really thinks that she didn't die? Or is it just the reality of what he actually did? You know what I mean? It's like, I guess you just can't know that, really. But it kind of seems like there's no way he would have known that she like didn't die, you know? Oh, God.
There's a small chance William really is this distraught over Kelly's death, but he was completely unaware of what he was doing at the time. So it seems more likely that he's actually just using this as a guise to vent and scream about how his life is pretty much finished and over a small argument with his mistress.
Who else took our...
Right now you're hurting yourself.
I don't care about me.
Well,
Who else got hurt?
He's playing the card of like, I wasn't even in my body type of thing. Yeah.
there's no one
I
else.
keep hearing people whisper, or whispers.
Yep. I don't think people recognize how difficult it is to like fake something mentally being wrong with you. A lot of these things are just so well studied. It's like you can even figure out a way that somebody would logically try to replicate that. You know what I mean? Like if you're in the right mind.
Okay, well, what whispering do you hear?
No, tell me the truth.
What you're watching is a man who knows without a doubt that he's guilty, doing everything he can to try and find a way out. He's panicking, and the cops were probably extremely relieved when William finally asked for a lawyer and put an end to this dramatic interrogation.
Yeah.
However, this obviously didn't help him at all, as the detectives already had all the evidence they needed to convict him, and William Talley was sentenced to life behind bars. This case was handled perfectly, a stark contrast to that of
well done.
Matthew Boynton, whose case was so weird and corrupt that the cops ended up investigating a shooting that never even happened.
You know you can't give a sworn statement and lie on it. Why would you do that, Matthew?
On the 15th of April 2016,
What's up with all these cases being in Georgia, man?
police found Jessica Boynton hidden in the closet of her home with a gunshot wound to the head and a police-issued firearm in her hand. The county sheriff reportedly ruled her dead at the scene, but there was a problem. Jessica was neither dead nor shot. After she was rushed to the hospital, the ER found no entrance wounds or bullets. Instead, they found evidence of a blunt force attack to the back of her head. This case is already incredibly confusing.
What?
But what's worse is that the police's number one suspect, Matthew Boynton, told cops that he received a text from Jessica saying she was about to commit suicide. After rushing home, he heard 2 gunshots coming from the house and called the police. Matthew was taken to the police station.
That is so weird. Right? Like, why would you use that as like an alibi or an explanation? Like, you can't pretend like you got shot in the head if, you know, like, so did he send the text from her phone?
And interrogated, but was caught lying about a vital piece of evidence. This is where we join the detectives as they try to unwrap this baffling web of lies.
Do you recognize that bag?
Yes, that bag that Jessica let me use to put all my gym stuff in. When we
Georgia Bulldogs.
Okay. So when's the last time you saw that bag?
It's been a long time. Like I said, when I used to work out at, there's 2 gyms in Thomaston. I don't remember the name of it.
I used that one, and I had a drain bag I used to work out in. So I interchanged myself like 13 drinks, power shakes, like pre-workout, workout shorts, pants, shoes, whatever.
I'd put it in that bag or my Nike bag.
Suspects who aren't telling the truth tend to
I was just about to say, he is going into some major details. But I'll say, as someone who suffers from overthinking a lot and struggling with like any kind of conflict, honesty hour. Over explaining, it really is something that you do because you just want them to believe you, and you just want like you just want to be in the clear, you know? You just want to be good. So I can imagine how that is like a behavior you can exhibit because you just want like approval. But I can see how you would want to over explain as well when you're trying to convince somebody that you didn't do something or that you want them to believe your alibi, right?
explain as they feel they have something to prove to detectives. If they can give lots of information over, they think it'll convince the detective that they're not lying, as they couldn't possibly make all of that up. However, in actuality, suspects telling the truth will give a more instinctual, simplified answer to the question because they don't have to think about it as much.
See, and that is strangely, I feel like, okay, we're talking about in a very criminal sense, but in like personal life, this is something I am like really trying to work on. It's like, I just want to be able to say yes, yes, no, no, I agree, I don't agree. And it's like, it's a good skill to have. just being able to say something and not over explaining. But when it comes to lying and telling the truth, that's also true, right? Because you can just say the truth and it be good. You don't have to say anything more. You don't have to explain away. You don't have to like over explain. You can just say the truth, and the truth is the truth is the truth, right?
Bear that in mind as the interview continues.
So
watch for the over explaining.
I mean, it's been a while. Like, I don't know an exact date. I don't know. I think my stepdad, he had it in the white trailer.
That's been a while. He brought it back and didn't do anything. Put my storage thing at my house, which is like when you pull the driveway. So a little storage thing on the right. You open the door and all my stuff in there. I tried that somewhere out recently. That was also in there, but I mean, there's a bunch of my stuff around town. They keep my
Patrol car with gym stuff in it and work stuff.
Remember, that answer was given in response to the question, when was the last time you saw this bag? But now they're 100% sure he's hiding something, and they're about to call him out on it.
All right, Matthew. Known you a long time. When y'all were in the process of moving.
That is so uncomfortable. It's a dynamic I keep forgetting. Even in the first case, it's like these are his coworkers. These are people that know him. Like, that's probably another reason why he's like being so weird, because it's like not strangers. It's just like a guy that's like known him for years. Oh God.
And you moved into the house that you're at now, your residence. Did you or did you not see this bag?
Yes, sir. It was in my storage room in the garage.
Now, why would I be holding a picture of this bag?
I guess because Jessica brought it into you.
Bag was completely filled with female clothes.
This bag, along with everything in it, belonged to Jessica. So when it was discovered in Matthew's possession, after he told police that he'd handed all of her belongings over, it confirmed that he had been lying under oath. They know that almost every piece of information he's given them could be completely untrue.
At least it would allow them to say, look, a very clear example of him not being trustworthy. Therefore, the rest of his testimony also not trustworthy, inserting doubt, inserting the ability for us to then question his claim to being innocent, right?
It was turned into us. We have possession of the bag. We have evidence that said it came out of your storage room. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Do you believe?
Just caught and was like, yeah, you got me.
Believe that statement to be accurate and true?
Not now.
Did you believe it then?
No, sir.
Matthew has now essentially confessed to stealing the bag of Jessica's belongings and lying under oath. There is the question of why he did this, but we haven't even gotten started on the assault part of the case.
Yeah, is she alive?
Why Jessica was found unconscious in their closet after allegedly texting Matthew she was going to shoot herself.
So weird.
As it turns out, though, the police would also never move on to that part of the case, and it remained completely unanswered. Matthew was charged with stealing and lying under oath, and after being placed on administrative leave, he resigned from the force, but went completely uncharged for whatever happened on the night of April 15th. Many people...
Wait, so she did die? That is so crazy. What happened here? What happened to this case? I'm so confused.
have been left wondering why that may be.
That's me. I'm wondering.
But the most obvious answer lies in police corruption, and the facts that the county sheriff just so happened to be Matthew's granddad. The same sheriff who lied by pronouncing Jessica dead at the scene.
So weird. So she wasn't even dead, and then they took her in, and then she still wasn't dead, but had blunt force trauma.
What's worse is that Jessica's head trauma left her without any memory of...
Okay. All right. Dr. Insanity confused me there because he said no murder charges. But she didn't get murdered. So then obviously there's no murder charges. But there obviously should have been some kind of assault charge or something, or at least that being addressed. Instead, they just charged him with stealing her stuff in a bag. And she literally just doesn't have memory of anything. That's so sad. This whole thing. It is. Okay, he was correct, though. This is a very weird case.
That night, so it's likely this case will remain unsolved forever.
Wow.
But people thought the same about the murder of Sherri Rasmussen, which lay unsolved for 23 years before new information revealed that the culprit was actually one of the police force's best detectives.
Now you're accusing me of this? Is that what you're saying?
Okay, I've seen this case. I'm going to watch how Dr. Insanity covers it, but I can't remember if I reacted to it myself, but it's crazy.
After decades of investigations, DNA evidence revealed that Stephanie was very likely the culprit of a murder committed in 1986.
23 years. I don't know, like, it's one of those things people talk about, like, is it even worth getting away with something if you're always looking over your shoulder and wondering if it's going to come out? And then it's like, over 2 decades later, it does happen?
It's
crazy.
Because of the high-stakes nature of the case, the detectives made sure to meticulously plan this interrogation. Stephanie was a really successful detective herself, and she had recently received recommendations for her good work on a theft case.
So they knew that she would know how to work around this if she had any inkling or ability to prepare, right?
So the detectives used this and brought her in under the guise that they needed help with a case.
I didn't want to talk about this in the squadron because I don't know who people are listening. And if we go to my side, everybody's always wondering what everybody else is doing. Okay?
An interrogation room is a strange place for such a conversation to take place, so to put her mind at ease, detectives told her this was the place they'd least be likely to be overheard, as the case details were strictly confidential.
Clever.
Sherri Rasmussen's body had been found at her home after being shot 3 times. At the time, police suspected the murder was a result of a burglary gone wrong, but the case went cold when they couldn't identify the suspect. However, 23 years later, when revisiting the case, detectives found evidence that led them towards Stephanie, a girl who had been trapped in a love triangle with Sherri and her husband, John Rutten.
Bite mark? That's what did it? Bite mark? Also, I did not remember it being a love triangle, so clearly I didn't pay that much attention to the case overall.
So the detectives decided to bring up John's name to see how she'd react.
Were you guys friends, close friends?
Yeah, we're very close friends. I mean, what's this all about?
It's a case we're working on and it involves John, and in there's notes and stuff that he knew you and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, we were good friends. Lived in the dorms for 2 years.
Was there ever any relationship or anything that developed between you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we dated. You know, I mean, what's this all about?
Well, it's relating to his wife.
Both the detectives and Stephanie have tried to see.
Dated. But the wife. So, timeline, was the dating during the wife being the wife? Or is she saying this is like before? Did the love triangle continue later? You know?
Seem as friendly and relaxed as possible around each other, but Stephanie is obviously starting to get very anxious at this point. Everything has become faster, and her language is defensive, and her movements have become more erratic.
I will say, though, I've watched other cases where they would state that someone who is being wrongly accused, that they should be very defensive, because it would be like, that's crazy, right? Like, if you got accused of something you didn't do, you should be like, whoa, 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 you know, like. So some of these things, it's interesting because it's like, you'll hear something and think it's like a rule, but then it's like in certain situations it's not a rule, you know, which is really why it's like way more complicated than just like following certain like behavior patterns or something. That's why you can't convict somebody off of being defensive, obviously, but it's just interesting to note, I think.
And you're right.
I mean, if you guys are claiming that I'm a suspect, then, you know, I got a problem with, you know, with that. Okay? So, you know, if you're doing this as an interrogation, you're saying, hey, I'm a suspect. Well, now I got a problem with, you know, now you're accusing me of this? Is that what you're saying?
Obviously, you know about all the DNA stuff and things of the nature that, you know, gets done on cases nowadays. You know, if we asked you for a DNA swab, would you be willing to give us one?
Maybe. Because now
because
I'm thinking I probably need to talk to a lawyer.
Stephanie chooses to provide DNA evidence, hoping her willingness to help out would ultimately prove her innocence. But unfortunately for her, just 5 minutes later, the detectives decide they've heard enough and put her in cuffs. Months later, after a long and arduous trial, a decision was made by the jury.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Stephanie Eileen Lazarus, guilty of the crime of murder of Sherri Rasmussen. We further find the murder was of the first degree.
After hiding it for 23 years, Stephanie Lazarus was finally found guilty.
Dude, that is the scariest picture. What the frick?
Of murder and sentenced to 27 years behind bars. If you enjoy true crime videos like this, make sure you're subscribed to see more.
Dr. Insanity. Great videos, man. I will subscribe, actually.